Welcome to Clydesdale Media. Fueled by C4, Cellucor, and Extend. Use the code Clydesdale to get 20% off at checkout at c4energy.com. The 2023 season series with some amazing athletes. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notifier so you're first to know when new episodes are available. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clydesdale Media Podcast. My name is Scott Switzer. I'm the Clydesdale. I am with Jeremiah Bailey. We are featuring the athletes of the semifinals. So good to have you, Jeremiah. Congratulations on semis, man.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, I appreciate it. Like we were talking before, it's I think it's good for everyone to kind of get to know the guys that are towards the middle or the bottom of the semifinals leaderboard, and kind of get everyone to interact with everyone who's competing. So it's a pleasure to be on, and I thank you, and I'm humbled to even get the invite from you. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, we love it, man. Like I told you, there's so many good stories all through the leaderboard, and those stories deserve to be told. You guys work just as hard as anybody else. And when you think about the grand scheme of things, top, the semifinals are the top 300 athletes in the world.
Yeah, just about. Yeah. I mean, considering you got to add up all the math for the worldwide and West and East. And so, yeah, I think the top 300 is a pretty good net to grab.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're amongst that, which is pretty awesome. So where I want to start today is I was trying to research you. I cannot believe how many Jeremiah Baileys there are in this world. Finding you specifically was not an easy task. There are other Jeremiah Bailey CrossFitters.
Yeah. I've only met probably like 4 other Jeremiahs in my lifetime. And probably 3 of them had completely different spelling than the way I spelt mine anyways. So to find out that there's a lot more Jeremiah Baileys makes it a lot harder, I guess, to find me. And I don't have the biggest, social media presence, and I think I'm only on Instagram. I don't really have anything else. So I'm very secluded when it comes to all of that. So yeah, probably a little bit difficult to find out.
Yeah, it makes my job harder, but it means that that we have to do is explore a little bit more right here on the podcast. But one thing I did find about you is you're a firefighter, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But you were trying to make it to Wadapalooza as your first ever CrossFit competition. And you wrote an article in a newsletter about that journey.
Yeah, that was last year. I believe it was. So I've only been competing in CrossFit for about 3 years now, competitively. So the 2020 Open was like my first I guess you could say competitive year as far as competing in CrossFit. And I was still kind of hesitant to do, all cards in on the CrossFit training modalities. And by then I was probably still 225 pounds, still wanting to do bench press and heavy squats every day. And, I kind of did some CrossFit stuff towards the end of it. And then I was still on probation with the fire department here locally at Murrieta Fire and Rescue. Shout out to those guys. But yeah, so 2022, I was like, that was, other than the Open that I did in 2020, I think I did quarterfinals in 2020 as well. But yeah, that was my first kind of in-person CrossFit event that I've, qualified for and competed for. So it was kind of an eye-opening experience, to say the least. So I competed in the RX division there in Miami. Took my wife.
Why dip your toe in the pool? Why dip your toe in the pool?
I'm a very competitive person, and that just comes naturally from high school sports, and I got out of military service in 2017 as well. So I've just been trying to scratch that competitive itch that I've had for a while. And then when I finally kind of decided to do CrossFit full on, it was, drop everything. And that's all it was for me. But for the most part, it was just finding something that was you know, competing and finding a community with other people that are competing. And that was kind of it for me. I did one, the Open that year in 2020, and I was like, man, I suck at this, but that was fun. So I was like, all right, well, let's figure out how I can get good at this, and see for me, how far it was. And then it was setting a goal of, all right, I want to do an in-person event. So how could I qualify for an in-person event? And I started Google searching, well-known CrossFit events that were in person, and found Wadapalooza. I was like, all right, cool. How do I do that? Went on to the competition corner thing and started plugging all my information in. And all right, qualifiers are this, and it's all video based. So I was used to that, doing the Open, and it's like, all right, cool. Let's go for that. And yeah, to get an invite to Wadapalooza to compete in the RX division for my first, I haven't even competed locally. Like, I haven't done like, gym competitions or anything like that. So for me, it's kind of like a go big or go home. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's figure this out. Let's do that. And the cards, aligned for me there, and took me, my wife, and a good friend of mine to Miami, and we competed. So
Yeah, my thoughts were, you're not a dip your toe in the water guy. You're head first deep end. If you're gonna do it, let's go all the way to Miami and make this a fun time. And then not only that, but you finished top 10. You finished 7th in that first ever competition, which had to give you some juice to kind of move forward in this endeavor.
yeah, and for me, it was, it's hard, and I say it stubbornly, I guess. I came into that competition with, I told myself not to expect anything, just go there, have fun, learn. It's your first competition, and kind of learn from the experience. And I think that first event there, we had the short bars set out on the floor, and I've never in my life touched a Rogue C70 bar, a short bar. I was warming up in the warm up area. I got all my hang cleans all unbroken. It was good to go. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to crush it. I think I even warmed up to the elite division weights while I was in the warm up area. Cool. Called it good. Walked out on the competition floor. I was like, man, that barbell looks a lot shorter than the one in the warm up area. And I picked it up, and I don't know if it was adrenaline or whatever it was, but I think I missed like my first 2 cleans at the lightest barbell. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be a rough weekend. So yeah, I think that one. And then one of the other short bar events was my worst events that I had there at Wadapalooza. But again, to you speaking, I'm not a dip your toe kind of guy. So as soon as that happened, I walked off the competition floor and I said, man, that's not ever going to happen again. Went on to Rogue, bought a C70 bar right there after I got off the competition floor, and it was shipped to my house a couple of days later for when I got home. So
Yeah, it's amazing how much heavier the weights feel on that short bar.
oh, it's crazy. The load, everything's close. There's no whip to the barbell, and it's just one of those things that, if you've never touched it, it's going to be, a weird thing to have. And the CrossFit gym that I was working out at the time wasn't vastly competitive as far as having athletes or anything like that. So, it was nothing like I've experienced before. And so I was like, all right, well, what can I do to make that not happen? And so again, I was like, all right, I'll just buy one of these things and work on it when I get home. And that was that. And, I just tried to brush that off and move on to the next event, and redeem myself on that one. I think I got second in my heat on that one and 4th overall in that event. Or it was, a couple movements of kettlebell, deadlifts, burpee box jumps, and rope climbs. And, as soon as I saw rope climbs, I was like, all right, cool, I'll do decent in this event. And a little bit of redemption for that one, and then moved on to the next day. So, but again, it was, I was just trying to tell myself, just learn from everything. Take all the information in that you can, and kind of, move on from there. And as soon as that second event happened, got home, or got to the hotel that night, I was like, all right, I think if I can finish top 10 at least here, and get a podium on one event, I'd be content with myself. And I did just that, so that was cool.
So in that article, you talked about the training for that, and that please explain to me. You had to travel from firehouse to firehouse, so you had equipment like in the back of your truck that you would take
Yeah,
with you
so
from house to house.
yeah, Murrieta is not the biggest department. We do have 5 stations, and as a probationary guy, you work as much overtime as you can to kind of help out the senior guys. Probation for us is about a year long, so I'm just trying to fit as much training as in as I can. And a lot of the gyms that we had at the station were kind of, your dumbbells, some machines, and everything like that. We didn't have assault bikes or rowers or anything of that nature at the time. So as soon as guys kind of caught word that I was, competitively trying to figure out this CrossFit thing, I asked a couple of my captains if it was all right if I brought some equipment in so I can train and they could use it. Obviously, it was the trade off. So I'd be loading my rower up, like in my truck, where the rower's sticking straight up out of the back of my truck, and uh, barbells, all my bumper plates, all my sandbags. It would just, I'd go drop it off at the station. I'd go work our 2 day stint, get some of my training in at the time. And then, if I was working at a different station, I'd have to load all that back up, everything else, and then move on to the next station and then unload it again for that overtime day. So, um, the some of the captains saw that, and we started kind of like, all right, well, if everyone likes all this stuff, we should just start getting it for the station. So luckily we started getting all that equipment for the station, so now I get to keep most of my stuff at home, and we have rowers and everything like that at the stations now. And when I come in, it's hey Bailey, what are we doing for the workout today? And I'll go to the whiteboard, write everything down. And so it's fun. But yeah, it was they'd always joke and say I need my own traveling enclosed trailer for all my stuff that I bring in. So yeah, so luckily I'm not doing much of that anymore. But yeah, those were probably the fun times, because when everyone saw my truck pulling with the rower sticking out of the back of it, they knew it was going to get some fitness in today. So
Yeah, and I think what's funny about that is you talk about that you didn't expect anybody to jump in with you. You just were trying to get your own fitness done, and you figured that you were laying in a pool of sweat, drool coming out of your mouth, and it wasn't really appetizing for other people to then jump in, but you were surprised that others did, and they would do that and push. And during this article, you actually thank the other guys in the firehouses for doing that and giving you the push.
yeah, it's a lot of those guys that I train with, at the fire station. Some of them are older guys, some of them are younger guys, but um, those days where it's pretty hard workouts, and during the summer it gets really hot when we're in the app bay working out. So extra sweat and foam coming out of my mouth because I'm trying to do sprint intervals on whatever it was. If someone walks out there, they're all right. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to, overheat or whatever else it was. But I always preach to the guys there at the station. It's all relative to whoever you are, as far as your sprint is relative to yourself. Weight is all relative to, what's heavy for you versus what heavy is for me. So as soon as I started preaching that to the guys, and started scaling as far as what they wanted to do, what they wanted to get out of stuff, it was a lot of us. The whole crew was working out together, and it was the morning PT session, and this is what we're gonna do in the morning, and we're just out there getting vitamin D in the sun, working out at the station, making sure we're all fit to do our job. So, but yeah, those guys, whether they know it or not, they push me a lot. And I'm at a new station right now where my captain and my engineer, they're right there with me working out. Whether it's a one a day, or if I have to get some type of strength work in at night, they're there with me in the app eight night. So it's cool having that camaraderie at the station, and guys know I'm jumping head first into this and getting my training in. So to have the support of them, and have the support of my department, it's an awesome feeling. um, And yeah, those guys, like I said, whether they know it or not, they push me a lot more when I'm at the station trying to work out. So
I'll tell you what, like as a citizen, I love the fact that my fire department is working out like that every day. That gives me a sense of pride knowing that they'll be able to help in my time of need because they're ready for that unknown and unknowable as we've been preaching for years.
yeah, I feel like it's a very big part of our job to just be physically capable under very high stress environments to do our job. You know, the city of Marietta, thank God we don't burn a whole lot like all those big city departments, but there have been instances where, we have to, carry people downstairs for, emergency medical stuff that we have to do. Everyone in our department are paramedics. So whether, you know, we have to do some type of a advanced ALS intervention or anything like that, being able to have a composed heart rate, during fires, during wildfire season when we have to get sent up north and work on the big campaign fires. Um, I think it just shows a testament to who we are as a department, being able to take pride in our physical conditioning, and being able to show the public that we're going to be able to take care of them in a high stress environment, and that just being physically fit overall is just going to be better for our health. It's going to give us a good product as a department. It's going to give the community that we serve, more and more confidence. And like you said before, our city's huge when it comes to physical fitness. Right now, I train out of a gym turned to CrossFit. Shout out to Tony Tursky, but he's a big guy as far as my job as a fireman, and he has plenty of other firemen that I've been on big campaign fires work out at his gym too. So it's not just us here. It's us, in the fire service as a whole, even the police departments. We take a lot of pride in making sure that we're going to be kind of ready for anything as far as physically, mentally, and then just overall, making sure that our conditioning is going to be able to serve the community as a whole.
It's amazing. I've talked to so many firefighters doing these semifinal interviews. Um, Talked to a woodland fireman last night, and she did that in the summers to stay in shape. So it's really cool. Um, you said you were in the military. What service? What branch did you serve?
I was in the United States Navy. I enlisted right out of high school. I ended up getting hurt and then got medically discharged out in 2017. So,
Well, first, thank you for your service. Second, what made you want to be a firefighter at that point?
for me, it was not so much the fireman aspect as being I wanted to be a combat paramedic in the military. That was kind of my ultimate goal, is what I wanted to go do. So for that to get cut short a little bit, it was being on the civilian side. Okay, what am I going to kind of do next? Well, I know I wanted to be a paramedic, so I was just trying to figure out the steps to do that. Um, so yeah, so that was kind of my biggest goal. Is I got out of the military in 2017, and luckily she's my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time was helping me trying to figure out what am I going to do next as far as a career, providing for us at that time. And luckily I had, some of the GI Bill that I've accumulated. And so I was, kind of pick and choosing, well, I want to go be a paramedic, but what do I want to go do as far as, paramedicine? Um, I found the fire department stuff. I actually I sent out a local email to a couple surrounding fire chiefs in my area. So one of them got back to me, and it happened to be the city of Marietta where I work at now at the time. And he said, "Hey, come into my office. Let's talk." Came into his office. We talked for maybe about 2 hours. And after that 2 hour conversation, I knew I was like, okay, well, I want to be a fireman paramedic and I want to be working for this department. So I kind of I put all my, ducks into one basket. How am I going to get here? How am I going to be a paramedic? And it was EMT school, straight into the fire academy, straight into paramedic school, and then interviewing and waiting for, Myriad of Fire and Rescue to open up. And, by God's grace, I was able to get hired by the department that I'm going to be retiring at. So blessed is an understatement with that. But yeah, again, I'm not a dip your toe into the water kind of person. If that's what I wanted to do, that's what I was setting out to go do. So
one of our listeners, Kenneth, says, love a good mustache.
is that
And
with
you got a
Kenneth
good one going,
Leverage?
man. No. His name's Kenneth
Okay.
DeLapp. He's one
Oh,
of
got it. Yeah.
our listeners, and love a good mustache.
Yeah. I've been working on the mustache for a little bit. On probation, I had one. My wife wasn't a huge fan of it just because I had a shaved head and a mustache, so it looked a little weird. So luckily I have a head of hair now, but the mustache has been growing on me, so to speak. And if I shaved it now, I feel like I'd have a baby face. So thank you.
Yeah. So then you have never been to semis before. This is your first opportunity. Last year you finished 134th in the world, or 134th in North America. So you didn't get backfilled, or was there something that stopped you from being able to go?
I mean, it was bittersweet last year. Last year, it was my goal to make it to semifinals last year. And, being 134th or whatever, yeah, I think it was 134th. I was like, okay, maybe I'm on the bubble, maybe I'm not on the bubble. We'll just kind of see what happens. With all the COVID stuff, it was really hard as far as, traveling and, if I was going to get an invite, was it going to be the Atlas games? I don't have my passport currently. I'm not vaccinated. So it's like, it was a huge factor is trying to figure it out. Unfortunately, the invite didn't come. And I guess a couple months after all the semifinals happened, I found out that there were some backfill invites that just didn't get filled due to whatever reason that was happening with that. And then to find out, some of the athletes that were getting spots got popped for, PEDs and everything like that. So it was bittersweet last year, but I think it kind of lit a fire underneath me to make a point this year, not to be on the bubble and not to leave it to the judges' hands as far as whether or not I'm going to get an invite. And that's kind of what I told myself at the beginning of this season was, whatever I do, I'm not going to leave it up to other people's chance. And with the format switch, I knew it was going to be a lot harder as far as, top 60 versus top 120 it was last year. So again, it was just everything that I did, every training session that I had was, it was all based towards, not leaving it up to chance. I don't want a bubble spot and I can't leave it up to the judges. So I need to be high enough on the leaderboard to where I know I'm going to get an invite regardless. And that was pretty much all my entire goal this year. And to finish 37th in North America West was, it was huge for me. And it just goes to show, again, that I was ready to, do whatever I could to make sure that my performance was going to show on the leaderboard, work on some of my weaknesses that I had. I changed my programming to the HWPO Pro stuff. So I was on the pro track, following all those guys, listening to Matt and Jake and all those guys, and just making sure that, again, I wasn't going to leave it up to chance this year.
Yeah, 37th is solid. Like you are in, no questions. And that not only are you in solidly, but it has to show you how much improvement you've made over the last year. So let's talk about HWPO for a second. Last year I went to all the semifinals in North America other than Atlas, and Matt and O'Keefe and Jake were at every single one of them, like helping not just the top dogs, but every single athlete that they had under them. Do you feel that support from them being on the pro track? And are you looking forward to having their input at a semifinal?
I'll say this, and I'll go even further. That first competition that I did at Wadapalooza, I think there was only maybe. Well, I'll say this: I was the only RX individual athlete for HWPO there, as on the male side, and I walked into the seating room that we were going to have like an athlete briefing with for the RX guys that didn't compete on Thursday. And there was a couple of us as far as teams, some intermediate females, everything like that. And Matt walked in and he talked to us on such a basic level. And, he answered all of our questions that we had. And he was there the whole time and the whole weekend. I talked with him and another coach, Samantha Petrich. She was there too. So she was there helping me out, watching me on a couple of the events that they could. And the support that we get as athletes from them is huge. Whether it's we get conference calls from them every week, conference calls with them every month. It's all interactive. They answer all of our questions. We're talking to, whether it's we need more strength program or conditioning program, whatever it is. They offer such a wide variety and such a a unique training style to us as athletes. And I'm a firsthand example of you follow it to a T and you follow it to the advice that they're giving you. The cliche, whatever you want to call it, the hard work does pay off. So
Yeah. I forgot about Samantha. I actually covered her, I think, at the MAC last year. She was a semifinalist herself, and she is again this year if she accepts the invite.
Yeah. So she'll be out there. Well, I mean, I haven't talked to her, but I'm assuming she'll be out there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, she's on my list to reach out to for this series as well.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah. You mentioned Turn 2 CrossFit a little bit and Tony Tursky. What's it like having a CrossFit Games competitor at the Masters level be the owner of your gym and understand what it takes to make that leap to the elite level?
It's funny. I've been training at Turn 2 for probably a year and a half now, almost 2 years, as far as being at Tony's gym. The first time that I walked into the gym, I didn't know Tony owned it. And I walked in there and I met with him, introduced myself. And I was like, man, why does this guy look so familiar? And Tony's known me since I was in diapers. He's been out here. So him and my mom and my dad have actually been family friends for a while. He owned a couple of the local pizza joints around here that we would go to after T-ball games. So I've known Tony for a while. I just didn't know that I was going to be working out his gym a couple of years later. But it's awesome. He watched me at all of my quarterfinals workouts this year. He had a lot of good input for me. He's obviously been there, done that at the Masters level. He got second at the games last year. He's got great competitive insight. He's kind of looking at me now as far as where he can start kind of critiquing me and what I can do better, what I can work on. So it's been awesome having him in my corner. As far as bouncing ideas off of, the support that he's given me is second to none. It's been great. So having him in my corner, and again, him being on such an elite level and getting second at the games, I'd be dumb not to be taking his advice.
So I'm gonna share a little bit of your Instagram here. I know you go to Turn 2, and you work out in your garage a lot, according to Instagram. Dude, that rack is so close to the ceiling. How many times have you hit your head?
So I had to take down one of my rafters in the gym. Well, I call it the gym, but in here. So I actually, whenever I'm doing bar muscle ups or chest to bar or anything like that, my head's actually going above the ceiling rafters. So same thing with the rope climbs.
I see it now.
There. Yeah. So
you have a hole. So there's a hole.
Yeah. So even up top here. So I don't know if you could see it on my camera screen, but
here
there's a big old hole.
Okay.
So there's a whole
But
kind of,
accuracy is key.
oh yeah, there's no room for error. If I take a wrong turn, I'm putting my head right into a rafter beam.
That is crazy.
But
So
but yeah, so
how much of your training is done in the garage as compared to how much in the gym?
I've been lucky enough to accumulate a lot of stuff here, and I call it the Bat Cave. If you didn't read the sign behind me, but the gym here, I got a couple. I got three different machines. I got sandbags, good amount of bumper plates, and then the rig and the ropes. And then I have some rings hung up too. But a lot of it, I would probably say 80% of my training happens here at the house. And then any kind of like specialty, if I need more room, ski erg access, anything like that, I'll be going to turn two. And then obviously all my workouts and everything like that, as far as filming or like probably when they release the semi workouts, I'll do a lot of the testing there at the facility, just because I'll have a lot more room, a lot more space to kind of get the semifinal feel, as far as moving up to barbells or having to move the weight into different areas, anything like that. So, but yeah, majority of the training happens right here at the house.
So Seema, one of our listeners, is asking, how much do you weigh now? Because she's curious if she could put one in her house.
Right now I'm about 205. So that's I mean, I have mine connected to another kind of 2x4, 4x4 beam that I have posted on my wall, but it hasn't pulled out yet, so that's good.
Yeah. I have a little garage gym myself, and I'm a big dude. I'm the Clydesdale for a reason. That's thus the name, right? Um, and my everything is held up that I have.
Yeah, they're
So,
they're all
and I can
built.
get
I
good
mean,
good
they're all built
workouts.
nice.
Yeah. So, I just covered up my notes with your Instagram. Hold on here. So, you mentioned your wife, her name is Julianne, right?
Yes. Yes.
How did you guys meet, and what's it she seems so supportive, and like all the pictures and videos of where you're at. What does it mean to have that support behind you at all the events?
It's it's honestly it's such a blessing having her. Whether she knows it or not, she's secretly my biggest supporter. She just tries to let me kind of do my thing. Um, and then my daughter as well. She's my second biggest supporter. But uh, yeah, my wife is great. She's second to none. I wouldn't trade anything in the world for her. She's been there, every single workout that I've had to do. She's been my judge through 90% of them. She went to Miami with me when I was going there. She's been there for my highest, for my lows, not just the CrossFit stuff, but in life in general. She's such an amazing person, and for her to be in my corner the whole time just speaks volume to the person she is. And yeah, it's been great. Um, she takes the judges course for me every year, so at least I know that I'll have a judge, whether or not Tony's going to be at the gym or not. So and to be honest, she's probably like my biggest critique and biggest motivator. A lot of the people, I get very serious and very, I guess you could say, aggressive when I start working out, just due to the fact that I'm probably hypoxic and can't think straight. So there have been occasions where I have, snapped at some of my judges for whatever reason or not. But, my wife's got, thick skin, and, she tells me to shut up and, move my legs closer because they're outside the box doing handstand push-ups or whatever it is. And then we move on. But, this year, with the amount of training that I've been doing, and, it's, she's been so supportive. And at times, I've been at work for, you know, probably 7 days straight. And then I come home, and, the first day is kind of like a wash because I'm dog tired being at work, and I still have to train a little bit. And then I have to train the next day and everything like that. And, you know, on my part, it is probably I'd say probably a little bit selfish, but she understands that for the most part. But I try to do that the best I can as far as the balance of everything. But she's my rock. She's my biggest supporter, and without her, anything that I do competitively or in life in general is not possible. So she's here taking care of the home while I'm at work, taking care of the daughter, taking care of the dog, everything like that. She makes me dinner, she makes my food, makes my lunch, whether you want to say that's, kind of a mommy complex or whatever it is, but it's just shows you, how godly of a woman she is as far as, taking care of all my stuff for me. And I don't have to worry about it. And all I have to do is go to work and come home and train. And, she's out here too. I just came out here this morning. I finished my training session. She's got her workout on the whiteboard that she did yesterday with one of her friends. And, she's in here too, using everything else that I use. So
Seema had to go, but she did ask a question before she left. What's your goal for semis?
To be honest, and I keep saying it to myself, I don't have any expectations for myself as far as semifinals. I just want to go out there and, prove to myself that I belong in that competition floor. I'd like to get, a top 10 finish in one of the events. If I had to set myself, a goal, obviously everyone, who comes on here who qualifies for semis, their goal wants to be, I want to go to the CrossFit Games. I want to go do this. I want to go do that. For me, the CrossFit Games would be cool, but I got to put myself into a little bit of a realistic box for myself. My highest peak that I set for myself right now was just, qualifying for an elite in-person event, being semifinals. And to be honest, if I could get top 20 at the end of the weekend, I'd be completely content with that. I'm just going to be out there to have fun. I'm just going to be out there to go, show, the support of everyone that's been helping me through everything. And, I'm going to, have some of my Myriad of Fire and Rescue stuff on there when I go to the event. I'm going to wear that during one of the events to show the support for all the fire guys that's helped me. I'll have some of the Turn 2 stuff on there to show, the support that Tony's had me. I'll be using all my, Arma sports supplements that they've been giving me to help support me. I'm just out there to have fun. I'm not going to set any expectations or any, goals that, I don't feel like are unreasonable. The biggest thing for me is just to go out there and have fun and, get a little bit fitter if that's what it's going to take.
So my last question is, it's in general as a firefighter and training. I've talked to a few firefighters who say the hardest thing about training is you could be at the firehouse getting all warmed up. You start a Metcon and 2 minutes in, the siren goes off. And then you've got to stop the Metcon, jump in the suit, go do your thing, come back. And then it's like starting all over for you because you got to get stretched. You got to get warmed up. You got to do all that again at the risk that it happens again.
I'll say,
how are you going to make sure you're prepared with training leading into semis?
Yeah, unfortunately I can't even count on my hands how many times that happened. And the worst is, when you're, doing lifting sessions, your thumbs are taped, you have your knee sleeves on, your lifters are on, and then you get a call, you got to take the lifters off, knee sleeves off. I've responded to calls and I put my EMS gloves on. I still have tape on my thumbs. But it is what it is, at the beginning of the day and at the end of every day. I'm a husband first, I'm a dad, I'm a fireman, and then there's, CrossFit athlete. So, if that's what the job calls for, that's what the job calls for. I'm not going to sit there and, get all, pissed off because I have to go respond to, one of our older citizens falling and she just needs help up. It's the nature of the job. It is what it is. And, at the end of the day, sometimes I'm not going to get all of my training in, and, that's just what it is. I can't be bitter about it. I can't be angry about it, because at the end of the day, all the CrossFit stuff in the world's not going to define me, who I am as a person. My job as a fireman is not going to define me. It's just, being a husband, father, Christ follower, that's all it really is. So it like you said, it happens more often than not. It happened the other day, and I was trying to get into my bigger lifts, and it sucks, but it's just the nature of the job, and at the end of the day, I just push it off. I'll finish it when I get home, or I'll finish it when, we have our R&R time at the end of the day, when everything's kind of quiet at the station. I'll just have to do a little bit extra. But I just have to push a little bit harder when I know there are time constraints. So my time caps get pushed up a little bit farther. So, and it might help me in the long run. My 6-minute time cap turns into a 4-minute time cap. So you're essentially racing against two clocks. Which one's going to go off first? So, but yeah, I wouldn't trade it for the world, man. It's such a great career, and it allows me to be home with my family. But even with semifinals coming up on the rise, it's going to be May. We're getting really close to fire season here in California. I mean, fire season is all year long. So I have to talk with some of my my guys at the fireman rank, and I'm at the station right now where if there's a big wildland fire that gets sent off, I'm the one going. So I mean, there's always a chance. Unfortunately, I could want to go to semifinals all I want, but if they punch us out on 2-week strike team, I'm going to be going out on the 2-week strike team unless one of my buddies want to help me out. So again, it's the nature of the job, and I'm that before being a CrossFit athlete. So I just got to make sure that I'm going to be mentally prepared for all of that.
So Elise says the fact that he still pushes through and does it speaks volumes. So many everyday people would gripe about way smaller interruptions. And so kudos to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, it is what it is. It's the nature of the job. And, a lot of people will probably gripe and complain about, smaller stuff or whatever it is. But, I try and be so, go with the flow, instead of structure oriented. I can't tell you how many times where I've had to look ahead of the week in my scheduling and my programming. Oh, maybe I should do this today and then push this to this. And you just got to be flexible with it. And it's, anyone that's in a, public service job, military, anything like that, they completely understand and they know. Or anyone that's got, a other demanding job where, they might not be able to do everything that I want them to do, but the training sessions that I am able to get in, you just got to take full advantage of it. So.
Yeah. First responders are the backbone of our country. And I appreciate all that you do for that. Jeremiah, I just want to thank you so much for jumping on, man. It's been really good getting to know you. I'll be in Pasadena, so I'm sure our paths will cross as I'm going to be covering the event out there. And good luck in everything out there. Hopefully you don't get sent out on a wildfire before semis.
Yeah, I hope not either. But yeah, thank you, Scott. I appreciate you having me on. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to seeing you at semifinals. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone at Murrieta Fire and Rescue, the city of Murrieta, for helping me through, supporting me through all of this. My wife, Julianne, my daughter, Lila, Tony at Turn 2 CrossFit, Scott at Arma. Shout out to John Lavelle. He's one of our city council members. He actually owns CrossFit by Overload. He's got a lot of athletes there. Yeah, I just want to say thank you to all you guys for all the support that you guys have given me. None of this that I'm doing right now, it wouldn't be possible without any of you guys. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And to our listeners, we'll see everybody next time on the Clydesdale Media Podcast.